Okay, and we're recording. So, Cynthia Kruse, thank you so much. So much. I am so excited that you are here on the Get Foxy Show.
Oh, thank you, Terry. It is such an honor to get to be here and to be speaking with you.
So, my first question for you is, since this is the Get Foxy Show, I'd like to know, what does it mean to you to be foxy?
Mm. When you originally let me know you'd be asking that question, I had a whole bunch of things running through my head because I think in our world, foxiness can be a external thing we think we have to be. And so I really had to think about that and kind of push past some of my own judgments and perceptions that foxiness is it's a self-ownership. It's a owning who we are on the inside of us, illuminating who we are on the inside of us so that our outside really shines and shows up exactly as who we are without fear, without hiding, and being in that place of inner and outer confidence that doesn't have to fit any kind of box.
Hmm, boy, you are profound. Can I just tell you that?
Well, thank you.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you really didn't, embody that foxiness that you just described?
I'm sorry, I just missed what you said.
Okay, we're having a little technical difficulty here. No worries. All right. So, has there ever been a time in your life where you couldn't find that foxiness you just described?
Oh,
It's a deep question.
well, yeah, maybe you can hear in that kind of noise I just made that that's a real big tender point for me. Um, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I grew up in a really small town in New Hampshire, and I went to a school system where, you went to school with the same 50 kids in your class, kindergarten through 12th grade. And so um, you would think that kind of culture and experience would build a connectedness and a family. And really, it bred more of a community of people trying to be all the same and fit in. And I was not immune to that. I remember being in middle school very much wanting to be seen and to be experienced as foxy and as an attractive girl wanting to date. And my poignant memory is standing by my locker, brushing my hair, trying to fit in, trying to look like all the pretty and the cool girls. And a boy that, I had known since first grade walked past me and with so much disdain and so much disgust in his voice for who I was trying to be, said to me, "Why do you even bother?"
Ugh.
And so I, of course, like any girl, felt like totally and completely crushed. Um, and so we all, I mean, especially women, have had small little experiences like that or big experiences in our life where we are crushed. That feminine part of ourselves who longs to be seen and to captivate and to be seen as beautiful. Can be kind of pushed inside And the way I did it was I kind of retracted. I got really small inside, thinking, man, like there are people, boys and others judging me on my appearance. So I got really kind of crumpled inside. And then I also kind of puffed up and tried to act really strong on the outside. And that kind of dynamic, and maybe some of your listeners can relate to that, doesn't create magnetism. It's not attractive to others, and it's certainly not in the energy of owning who you are.
Mm.
And so I had a whole couple decades of experiences of not feeling seen, feeling pretty invisible, actually, and definitely not feeling foxy. Um, and I would say I wasn't able to really own that and find the turning point in my life for that until probably like early 30s, I have to admit. So that's been some of my story.
Hmm. So tell me a little bit about how your work specifically brings out the foxiness in others.
Well, sure. So I am a family and relationship coach, and I specifically work with the ferociously strong woman. You know, the woman who has massive things on her plate, but she handles it all. The woman who is so independent and so powerful. And, you know, like me, kind of had to puff up and be super strong in life, probably because there were people along the way who had, you know, some things to say that crushed her a little. Um, so these women I work with are so strong on the outside, so strong on the inside, and yet there is a secret yearning. There's a secret yearning inside to be met, to be seen, to be connected with. And so my work is really taking that strong woman, the woman who's got it all, she doesn't need anyone, and inviting her to recognize the desire to be seen and to amplify that so she can create that in her life.
Wow, that's powerful. When you have invited women to be seen in that way, what's happened for them?
So one thing I love to do is sit across from a woman or a group of women who are have come to me in that place of strength. You know, I got this, and there's something inside of me that's wilting inside, and letting them know that it is okay to want this, to be seen. Um, you know, I was always the little girl who loved the stories of Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, not because, you know, they were wimpy women who needed men, but because there was something so captivating about their beauty and their essence and their energy that they just drew the world into them. And, you know, as we grow up as women, we're taught you got to be strong and independent. And that kind of desire to be seen is becomes a little bit taboo. It becomes like, well, don't be so selfish and self-absorbed. And what happens is, you know, if we look at David Hawkins' scale of emotions and vibration, desire and craving and yearning is at 125 on the scale. And reverence is at 500. And so, us as women, if we don't allow our desire to have voice and it stays in a place of yearning and craving, we start manifesting things like, you know, struggles with trying to fill that craving in other ways, like cravings for sweets, or we get super exhausted, or we lose the chemistry in our relationship, or we create pain systems in our body. And when we can move desire into a place of permission, I want to be seen as a gorgeous woman. I want to be noticed by the man in my life. I want people drawn to me. And we do it from a place of reverence. Like I use a symbol of an aspen tree. We move that into that vibrational level of 500 and we start magnetizing more of that to us. We start getting in our life the things we want most. We look in the mirror and our eyes are brighter. Our pain bodies disappear. All of a sudden, that craving for sweetness that was with us all day long starts to dissipate. And the partnerships, the relationships that we're wanting so much in our life suddenly become easier and create that fizzle and chemistry in us that we always want. We just push aside because we think in the reality of the day and our job and laundry and kids that we don't get to have.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And you see this kind of transformation with the women that you work with.
Yeah, it's a. Well, I'm sorry you would ask. Like, what do you see when I express this to women? You just see a weight come off their shoulders, and they're like, "Really? I get to have this? This isn't just a secret kind of guilty shame, like eating chocolate in the middle of the night thing. Like I get to own this and embody this in my life." Um, it's the same kind of reaction I get from women when I sit across from them and say, "Hey, you know what? The good men in your life, they really do want to protect and provide for you. They want to show up for you. They want to please you." And so it's that same kind of like, I am seen. There's something that's illuminating me, something, whether it's myself or another, appreciating who I am in the softest part of me, not the tough, I have to be in control of everything.
Hmm. Well, I can say, full disclosure to the listeners, I've known Cynthia now for a couple of years, and you really walk your talk. I have to give you such praise for that. I mean, you really put what you preach into practice.
Well, thank you. That means that's huge for me to hear that because it's been a really long journey. Starting in that moment of middle school of feeling like crushed and like I needed to hide myself. There's been a lot of hiding in my life and thinking that I didn't want to put myself out there to be seen. And I have to tell you that I had to start with very small steps because I had gotten to a point where I was feeling so crumpled inside and so out of my own ownership that um, when I was going to college and walking around campus with my peers, the only way I could manage my anxiety of that and like, God, how are they seeing me and how am I showing up? And maybe I'm not good enough, is just to imagine that I was merely a pair of eyeballs. That is the only part of me that I could own in that moment. And so some of the smaller steps to kind of bring myself back to that was just to practice going to the grocery store and smiling and making eye contact with people and allowing people to see me and to see them. And so that was step number one. And of course, there's been a lot of steps after that. But one thing that I really love to do with women is to let them know that there are different layers of being seen. And I work with this with myself all the time. And so, if the outer circle of us is being seen as the outside appearance, that we actually own how we want to show up on the outside. And that's again a little bit taboo because we certainly value what's going on the inside. And to own our beauty as women is to own the outside of us too, the thing that lights people up. And, there are two ways that you can honor and illuminate your outside. You can think about how you want to be seen in the way that you're most confident. Like, man, I today really want to be noticed for, and I get embarrassed saying these things out loud, but I want to be noticed that I have really wonderful lips today, and a great smile. And you also can work with yourself on the other end of the spectrum of the things that you're feeling self-conscious about. Um, One of the medium self-consciousness levels for me is, I'm extremely, extremely pale. I've got like English heritage, Swedish heritage. There is not one cell in my body that tans. And growing up, I had people and boyfriends who just couldn't keep their comments to themselves about they didn't think that was very attractive. And so tried to hide that. And as silly as it sounds, that can be a lot of anxiety during the summer because you can feel unattractive. And so starting to do things like, I want to be seen for how beautifully white my skin is. And 2 years ago, I remember doing that before I was leading a women's workshop. And one of our exercises was seeing each other. And darn it, if during that workshop, about 5 women told me how beautifully white and pale they thought my skin was. So that's really that idea of self-ownership, that we are not trying to change ourselves, not trying to go to the gym to get the perfect thighs, but really allowing ourselves to be seen in the beauty that we truly are.
Wow.
So Terry, you did mention like that inner foxiness, and I
Uh-huh.
talked about the outer circle of being seen is that outside appearance.
Mm-hmm.
The next circle in is, how do I want to be seen in my character? Do I want to be seen as powerful, loving, charismatic, magical? And you can work this into your life. Like maybe you have daily prayer or daily intentions or however you want to do it, but you're actually asking the world to see you in this light that you know you are. And then the next circle in is for your passion. How do you want people to view your passion? Are you fiery? Are you like starlight? Are you like cherry blossoms? And the last layer in is, how do you want people, and I'll even invite your listeners to be like, how do you want the man in your life to see your soul? And I invite women to do this in a way of like, if your soul was a painting, what would it look like? And again, all of this is owning your inside, in core, all the way out to your outer space, which in my world creates the foxiness that sparks attention, magnetizes people, and literally changes how you look. I look so different now than in the days when I was hiding myself and thinking that I didn't deserve to be seen or had not earned that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely can say you look amazing through this interview. We're doing a FaceTime interview, so my listeners won't be able to see you, but I mean, just so I can say, yeah, you look absolutely stunning today.
Oh, thank you.
So, who embodies Foxy in your world?
I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but when I was thinking of this question, Terry Fox, I thought of you. And when I get to come see you for acupuncture, and I sit across from you and can share with you what's going on with me on a physical level, an emotional level, relationship level, and you see me fully with no judgment and with such compassion, and you take me in for the purpose of serving me and my feminine energy. I feel your inner foxiness and your outer foxiness in your masculine presence, and how strong you stand for yourself and your purpose and for me.
Well, thank you very much. I was not expecting that kind of answer. But thank you. I really appreciate that compliment.
Yeah.
So, what is the one piece of advice that you would have for my listeners, the Vulpanistas? What is the one piece of advice that you would want to give them about how to cultivate that foxiness that you've been talking about?
My piece of advice is intention, and it kind of connects that idea of self ownership. We want to own our deepest desires and our deepest yearnings. We want to take them from the vibrational level of 150 to that place of reverence, 500. And so work into your daily practice how you want to be seen. You are not a victim to this. You are not still the middle school girl or however old you were, or the woman in a marriage that didn't work well, waiting for someone else to give feedback that you may not like. You get to own your space. And you can do this by journaling about it. You can create vision boards about it or drawings about it. Or if you happen to be doing something so wonderful for yourself, like receiving cosmetic acupuncture from Terry, or some other modality of massage, or anything that's for you and your beauty, set an intention and breathe love into how you want to be seen outside and inside. Let that be your prayer every time you go to that appointment, and you will amplify your results times 10, times 100. I guarantee it. Maybe it won't be the very first time you set that intention, but keep at it. Your energetic presence is not stuck in the physical realm. It is something as a woman that is far more magical and far more in your control than you might have ever imagined.
I can agree with that. In traditional Chinese medicine, we say qi goes where the mind flows, or qi flows where the mind goes. That's what it is. Qi flows where the mind goes, or to sum it up a different way, energy follows intention.
Ah, oh, I love that, Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So exactly when you're saying set that intention, then immediately that's where their energy can go and flourish and grow. Correct?
Yeah. I love so much talking with you about things like this because you put like concrete Chinese medicine reasoning behind this ethereal, energetic world of intention and vision. And I just love it. I love that combination of like art and science coming together. Um,
Well, thank you. Well, I think that is about all the time we've got for the moment. So I really want to thank you and honor you for being on the Get Foxy show. It's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much, Cynthia.
Thank you, Terry.
And then I'm going to